Welcome to Muy Macho. Today I'm going to be watching Jaws from 1975, way back when Muy Macho was a little kid back in kindergarten. Actually, I hadn't even started kindergarten. So, a couple of shout outs. Let me explain how this is going to work. I'm watching this on YouTube TV on my Fire Stick on AMC video on demand. So it's opening in IMAX today. And really what we're watching is you're watching the movie with me. So right now I'm watching the opening titles here. So Universal, an AMC company. Been to Universal Studios when I was a kid where they had the Jaws attraction there. It was awesome. Maybe I'll talk more about it. Basically, you're watching this movie with me here. I'm going to try to keep it up time-wise, at the timestamp. But I'm not sure what's going on with this broadcast. Basically, I'm just doing commentary. It's a Zanuck Brown production. So I'm narrating, I'm reading what's on the screen. Starring Roy Scheider, Robert Shaw, and Richard Dreyfuss, and I'll talk more about them. There's the top billing. We're starting off. We can hear the Jaws music right out of the gate. We see the title Jaws. We're skimming the ocean floor, the Atlantic. Co-starring Lorraine Gray, who plays Roy Scheider's wife in this. And then in cast, Murray Hamilton, Carl Gottlieb, and some others, Jeffrey Kramer, Susan Blackline, or something. Music by the iconic, I guess, if I could use that word, John Williams. There it is, the orchestra. So we cut to the teenagers partying on the beach. All right, we got a harmonica guy smoking some dope, fire raging, some kids necking, as the old geezers call it. Got a good little guy strumming a guitar, chopping away like me. So we see screenplay by Peter Benchley and Carl Gottlieb, based on the Peter Benchley book. This was one of the 3 books I read in high school. So here we go. We're partying on the beach. Looks like they're smoking dope, as I said. Directed by Steven Spielberg. I think this was his breakout movie. And now we come in on a guy, teen. He's burning a cigarette there, drinking some Falstaff, gazing into the eyes of the beautiful young girl. They're giving each other the googly eyes. All right, they're a little partied up. They're looking at each other. How do we get out? Oh, we got a kegger. Oh, yeah, I forgot about this. Got the keg on the beach. Okay. Just chatting her up here. We can see the waves tickling the shoreline. Off she runs, and as you know in horror movies, it's a classic. The young people are, the targets here by the whoever the bad guy is. He's chasing her down. She says they're going swimming. He's drunk, obviously, so here they are, stripping off their clothing as they run to go for a little skinny dip, Why not? Party, they're on vacation. I think it's a 4th of July weekend. The girl dives in, sans clothing, and here we see the young dude trying to get into it. He's trying to get his shoes off. And whoa, she's swimming pretty quickly out toward the buoy, in the moonlight there. And there she is, beckoning the kid. And, okay, she's popping out of the water. She's here. She's telling him, hey, he's trying to get his clothes off, and the kid's pretty hammered. Now we see the classic scene from underwater, the silhouette of the girl in the moonlight taking a little night swim, and she's out there, just treading away, waiting for her young suitor to join her. So she's just floating here, kicking her legs, waving her arms, which is basically telling sharks to come and get you. There's the first grab. Something's pulling her down into the water. We don't know what it is yet. I mean, everybody knows. Now she's going back and forth, which if you've seen the documentary about the production of Jaws, you've seen a lot of behind the scenes. I don't know how much of that I'm going to talk about. I'm just going scene by scene. So here's the kid. The boy is passing out on the beach while the girl is dealing with this, whatever's got her under the water. She's grasping on for dear life here, hanging onto the buoy. It's clinging and clanging. Something's got her. Even at this point, we don't see anything. We hear the music. We see the tragedy of her face. Now she goes under the water, I believe, for the last time. Sun's setting. Kids, the boy is, he's zonked out. He's all partied out. So that's the first scene. We've got the buoy here, and now the water goes quiet again. Next morning, so we cut to the morning here. Radio broadcast. We're looking at Roy Scheider and his wife. They're welcome in the morning. So they've moved here to Amity Island. They'll say more about it. He was a cop somewhere. I'm not sure if he was a captain or whatever. And that's the wife, Lorraine Gray. They're talking about how to work on their New England accent, how to say yad and being fat from the cat. Okay, they're from New York. She just lets them know. All right, the one son comes in. So they moved into this house probably looks like 6-8 months ago. So they're transplants. They're coming from New York City up into New England. Roy Scheider's getting a call. So he's the sheriff. So he's getting a call. Something has gone down. And now he's got to go attend to it. Okay. So he's sheriff, law enforcement. That's one thing I'll talk more about during this movie. Now, I'm not in law enforcement, but I know that's how it is. They get the call. They got to go see whatever usually bad thing is happening. Okay. He's the chief. Oh, that's right. Because Robert Shaw, he calls him chief all throughout the whole rest of the movie. We see his truck. He's got the cool chop top here. Amity Police Department. Looks like an old Suburban chop top. And I don't know if this is modeled after Martha's Vineyard or if maybe they filmed it in Martha's Vineyard. Amity Island welcomes you. 50th annual regatta, which is a boat race. All right, July 4th. Regatta's a big boat race, so they're setting this up. Now the poor kid, the boy is trying to tell Roy Scheider what happened. He passed out. He thinks that she drowned. An Islander, New York City. Okay. So the kid says he's from Connecticut. Now it looks like one of the police. He can't believe what he's seeing. He's blowing the whistle, getting Roy Scheider. They see what's washed up on the shore. As many times as I've seen this movie, sometimes you're really not paying attention when you're watching. That's kind of why I wanted to do this. You're watching the movie with me, so we could see the baby, the little crabs they're already feeding on the corpse of the young girl who was thought to have simply drowned. Roy Scheider's looking at her, and based on the police officer's reaction, you could tell this is how acting is supposed to be and writing. The police officer's reaction to what he's seeing. So we cut now. Next scene here, we're back at the station house. Roy Scheider's trying to type up what he can of what they think might be going on. We got the admin coming in. She's giving Scheider. She's get a call here. He's got to type in the cause of death. He types in shark attack, so he could probably tell there were bite marks, and if she's torn apart, of course. You could check some of my science here. I'm pretty sure sharks are only in salt water, oceans. So I'm sure he maybe has not seen Shark Attack, being from New York City. I'm not an expert, but you know, sharks only feed in certain waters. So I'm gonna go back a few seconds here, and this is what I like about watching things on Fire TV. This is no plug. I mean, rather YouTube TV. This is why I like YouTube TV. I like the action on it because I get to just go back. I also have the closed captioning on, which I highly recommend. If you're watching at home, marching band music. So I'm pretty sure they're getting ready for the big holiday weekend. So everybody's practicing. All right, it's an old shopkeeper trying to get his attention. We got a banner, Amity Island, 4th of July celebration, 50th regatta. So Scheider is going down. He's at the hardware store, bait shop. He's grabbing some paints and some brushes.
Chief, Polly sent me to find you to tell you that there's a fucking the Boy Scout without an April date doing their miles swim for their merit badge.
Now he finds out there's a Boy Scout troop doing some swim testing out in the water. Okay, this is where Scheider says he's closing the beach. He is the chief. And now comes like the town. I'm not sure if he's the mayor, so we'll find out here. Okay, yeah, it's the mayor. Right now we cut to a guy's in a rowboat. We got the kids are all swimming. Scheider's trying to figure out how to handle this. Charlie. He's got the, Stone, New York. Now here comes a carload of the looks like the city fathers coming to find out why the chief is closing down the beaches. I think the big dude is Carl Gottlieb, who was the writer. I think he's also might even be a stuntman. I don't know. I know he was in the Jerk with Steve Martin. So the mayor is explaining to Scheider that, hey, you can't shut the beaches down. We need people swimming here. We need the money. So this is one of the conflicts here. Scheider's telling him, hey, we got problems out here. People getting eaten by sharks, potentially. They're not sure yet, and they're saying maybe it was a boat propeller. So there are the opposing parties here. The mayor doesn't want the beaches closed for the money, and everybody, all the shops and all that. Scheider's just trying to do the right thing because he doesn't want to have any more bloodshed, obviously. Martin. So Chief's name is Martin here. Roy Scheider's character. Roy Scheider has done a lot of great movies, but this is probably my favorite. I remember Blue Thunder. He's a legend, but this is his big role. So now we cut to the next scene here. Alex Kintner. They say his name. The mother's letting him know his mom and he and his mom are enjoying a day on the beach, and we're following the kid around. And then it brings us to Roy, who looks like he's contemplating what's going on here. He's going back and forth between what the mayor thinks. He doesn't know it's a shark for sure. All right. So I guess, the beaches have not been shut down. The signs were not put out. So now the kid, Alex Kintner, He's paddling out. We got a doggy, little lab in the black lab in the water playing fetch with his master. Got a lady, just floating here. Everybody's just chilling out, enjoying a day at the beach. And Roy's just watching. He's not in uniform. Maybe he's trying to enjoy the day too. But he's looking. He's not comfortable with any of this. Mysterious lump comes up behind the lady floating. Okay, it's just a guy swimming. He's got his bathing cap on. Scheider thinks it's a shark. See, it's already in his head. He looks worried. He is worried. He doesn't want more people to get hurt. All right. Girl screams. Turns out they're just playing in the water. But he's on edge here. He's very much on edge. His wife's there with them. Or in grad, she's probably gonna tell him to calm down. She wants to find out what's happening. This scene. So the beach scene. We're about 17 minutes. If you've read screenplay by Sid Field. Oh, wait a minute. Classic line coming up. That's some bad hat, Harry. So Harry comes up and says, "We know all about you. You don't go in the water." See, there's no other way for you to find out about this character that he doesn't go in the water unless you show him petrified to go in it. Now, that's a very interesting point. So now we've got a guy who's got to fight a shark, but he doesn't like the water. And then we hear the classic line, "That's some bad hat, Harry," which if you've ever watched House, the end credits, that's a production company. Bad Hat, I think. So we got a little kid here making a sandcastle. Looks a lot like me when I was 5. Another kid calling for Pippin, who is the dog. They show the dog what they were playing fetch with floating on the water. So he's calling his dog named Pippin. Now we hear the Jaws music again. We got the shot coming from below when all these people. And there we see the fin, the tail fin, and poor Alex Kintner in broad daylight with everybody in the water. Got the classic Hitchcock zoom where it zooms back behind Roy Scheider. Now everybody's freaking out here, especially Roy Scheider, who does not like the water. Okay, Kintner's mom is looking a little concerned. She doesn't know her little boy is now fish food. Okay. Everybody's piling out of the water. So now we see Roy Scheider was right. The mayor and the other guy, the town fathers, were all wrong. And now it's cost poor Alex Kintner his life. Now his mom's calling for him. Obviously, you know when your kid's gone. And I believe AMC has skipped a commercial break. I'm watching this on AMC, which is cool. Reward 3,000 bounty to catch the people who are going to kill the shark. It's a sign they got. Now we're starting a shark hunt. All the adults in town are freaking out. Okay, and everybody is concerned. So we're right at the 20-minute mark-ish. Townspeople are gathering here. All the honchos are gathering around the big table. Scheider feels terrible, obviously. Scheider feels terrible about what's happening. So emergency town meeting is what this is. So we got some guy makes a joke about whether the $3,000 bounty is cash or a check. Everybody's chuckling, even though 2 people are dead. Well, it looks like they've gathered, according to what he said, fishermen to try to catch the shark.
And then we're going to try and use the shark spots on the beach.
The question arises about whether the beaches will be closed, and all eyes are on Scheider. And he says, yes, I'm closing the beaches. Bringing in somebody from the Oceanographic Institute. So the mayor's trying to tell them it's only going to be closed for 24 hours, and everybody's worried about their businesses and their money and everything. Very loud, nails on the chalkboard classic. Everybody's looking. Enter Robert Shaw. So he's a rough rider. He already knows the beast. Now he looks cool as a cucumber. He's explaining, I'll take care of it. He's got the goods. And he wants more than $3,000. Now he wants $10,000. So what he's saying is, he's telling the people of the town, because this is a shrewd guy. You know, he's a fisherman, but a shrewd one and a businessman. He says, look, you're offering $3,000. I want $10,000. He's telling them every minute you're not doing business, you're losing money. So don't do chill. He's putting the squeeze on him, but he's also showing that he can take care of this problem for him quickly, which is what he's saying. And Robert Shaw, you'll remember him from The Sting, one of my favorite movies, with Robert Redford, Paul Newman. So he's giving him the proposition. Give me 10 grand. Let's take care of this. Mr. Quint. Quint is the Robert Shaw character. And Quint exits. So next scene, they're putting up the signs. No swimming, beach closed. Amity PD. Now we cut to a diagram of a shark. We're looking at some sound waves. Roy Scheider's boning up on his shark knowledge. He's startled by the wife. He's embroiled in this information. He is properly scared. He's amazed by him. He's saying sharks, they might live 2,000 years, that people just, you can't age sharks. Now, I'm not sure about that. I don't know, that's 50 years ago. But, you know, sharks are perfect killers. They talk about it in this. So she tells him Mikey loves his present, which was a boat. So now his son is in a boat. So she says, I don't think he'll ever go in the water again after what happened yesterday. Look, I'll tell you, I'm still uneasy going into water, whether it's an ocean or not, and even a beach. I mean, this movie really messed people up, So she's telling him, she's skimming through the book, seeing what's really going on. You know, so she's getting on board, pardon the pun, getting on board with this about what's going on with the shark. All right, cut to dusk. We got a couple of fishermen out rowing. They're sneaking out. They're not supposed to be out there. And I think if you've been to Universal Studios and you're old enough, because I don't know if they still have the Jaws thing there. Looks like these guys are going hunting. They're going snagging. They're going to try to get to $3,000. He's tying off to the jetty, which they explained what that is in the previous scene. Very smart. It's like a dock. I like learning terminology from movies. It's one of the reasons I use closed caption, you know. So here these two lunkheads are out there trying to get the Scheider's looking up some pictures of some sharks that have been caught previously. So he's trying to formulate. So, you know, he's a police chief. So maybe he was a detective. So now he's trying to use what he's researching how to catch a killer. You got to learn about all that stuff. You got to know your enemy. All right. Just cut back to the two meatheads, and now their line that they put out. We hear some Jaws music. It kicks up. The bait they threw out, which is a big roast, is getting yanked. Tears the whole dock down. The chain, Jaws, if you've seen the movie, you're familiar with the size. Now lunkhead number one gets pulled into the water. He's in the drink. This is one of those things that were back then, and even in other movies, they show the bad guy shows this acumen. It was very cool. So you could see the part of the dock that was ripped away being pulled back toward the dock because it is attached to the shark. This is how they had to do scenes where you knew the shark was there without seeing it because they had so many problems with the mechanical shark, the one that they were using. Changed a lot of some of the cinematography and some of the scenes. I highly recommend that documentary. Whatever, I don't know what the title is. Okay, so now the two lunkheads are back on what's left of the dock, and their little plan to catch the shark that could see goes terribly awry, and they both survive. Now we got the harbor master. So now we got a bunch of fishermen, people with fishing poles. I don't know if they're going for the shark. So Mrs. Kintner, the reason they had that meeting, Mrs. Kintner, the mother of Alex Kintner, who was devoured by Jaws, had put an ad in. She wanted someone to come and take care of the shark. So that's what's causing a lot of the mayhem that's about to happen in this town. Enter Richard Dreyfuss.
All back. All right. Hope you're not going out with those nuts, are you?
All right, so Dreyfuss is trying to see what's going on with the situation here. Now, you know Richard Dreyfuss, another. So he drops a little terminology, says he knows how to boat. Now there's a guy who's going fishing with some dynamite, and Roy Scheider is stopping him. All right, so now he turns away the guy with the dynamite. Bunch of wise guys getting in a boat.
Tell me if there's a quick restaurant or hotel on the island.
You watch that?
We hear the Richard Dreyfuss laugh, a little bit of it. So Scheider's putting out the word to stop people flowing into the town from everywhere. Connecticut, Rhode Island, New Jersey.
Yeah. Well, no, I mean, that's what.
So in this scene here, Matt Hooper, played by Richard Dreyfuss, he's from the Oceanographic Institute. Meeting Martin Brody, the chief. So this is where the two guys are meeting. So what I see is one expert meeting another. He wants to see the remains of the first victim, the girl on the beach, he says. So we're teaming up. We have Roy Scheider, who's in law enforcement, an expert, presumably, and Richard Dreyfuss from the Oceanographic Institute as an expert. Now they have a common goal. Two people like this would probably never be in the same situation. So it's another thing about this where the team up aspect of it is very cool. So now the townies are yelling at all the fishermen who are trying to get the money. They're talking about guys chumming. They're explaining more terminology. All right, chumming that's when they pour the bait into the water, the bloody meat, to draw, whatever you're trying to draw, usually a shark. So in this scene here, Richard Dreyfuss is looking over Christine Hawkins, who was the girl from the first scene in the quote-unquote probable boating accident. So I guess the other guy is the medical examiner. Okay. We're 32:53 in of the 207. It's about the runtime. So he's from the Oceanographic Institute, but he sounds a lot more like like he's doing an autopsy, a forensic pathology thing. So he knows, Richard Dreyfuss knows for sure it's not a boating accident, and he asks if the Coast Guard is aware, which they're not. He's also recording. Dreyfuss is recording this, which, as you know, not as you know, if you watch autopsies, they record the autopsy. So he's identifying the shark. He's pulling pieces out of the remains. All right, now Dreyfuss is pissed at the medical examiner who's who messed with the paperwork. Everything's obvious to him, and Dreyfuss is getting pissed here. Hooper. He knows it was a shark. So we cut to the next exterior scene. Somebody has caught a shark. Hopefully this was not a real shark because they're treating it pretty badly. And they're hoisting it up. It's got some arrows in it. Now we got the one guy trying to make some good press out of this. They believe they have captured the shark. They think the problem is solved. Even Roy Scheider is smiling. Look, we got him, you know. All right, so everybody's glad handing around, say, oh, yay, you know, they're celebrating. All right, here comes Quint, you know, the Robert Shaw character. He knows it's not the one. They're doing staging a photo op while Richard Dreyfuss is measuring the shark. He's calm. He's checking. So they're trying to take the big picture. Almost 36 minutes in.
What? 2 weeks reading again. Getting plenty.
All right, the mayor's happy. Now Dreyfuss is telling these guys the bite radius is off. That's what he was measuring. Turns out this shark they've caught is a tiger shark. And Dreyfuss is questioning that this is the shark already.
It's working. There are all kinds of saucy ones. You know, hammerheads, white tips, blues, liquor.
He's going through some different sharks, explaining it to Scheider.
Saying that this is not the shark. Probably is, Marty. It probably is. It's a man-eater. It's dreaming after these wars.
All right. So he's saying, Richard Dreyfuss is saying the bite radius is different of the shark that they've caught and killed than the bite radius on what they found of the victims of the girl. So bite radius. Now let's just say you have a sandwich. You take a bite out of one side and a 3-year-old takes a bite out of the other side. It is obvious who bit which side. That's what he's saying. So Dreyfuss is making his case like, hey, let's be sure about this. That may be the shark, but we're not sure that it is. So Dreyfuss wants to cut it open and check it out to see if there's any remains of the girl inside the shark. He's asking the police chief and the mayor, and they're considering this. So Dreyfuss wants to do it right now in front of all the people here. All right. So here comes Mrs. Kintner. She's all in black because they think this is the shark that's been brought to justice, so to speak. She slaps the chief. She slaps him because even though Roy Scheider knew that the girl had gotten killed, he allowed the beach to stay open. Now he's taking the heat. Okay, she's righteously pissed off, and this is where this is where he's going to really have a problem because now he sees. I mean, it is his fault effectively. He could have done something, and he didn't. And now she'll never have her son back.
My boy is dead. I'm gonna give up.
And this is all happening while they're still looking at the shark that they caught, which Dreyfuss, again, wants to cut open to make sure that it's him. Okay, Scheider walks off. Dreyfus is standing there looking around. Next scene, we're at about almost 40 minutes in. Back at his house, there's his son, kind of aping him, copycatting him like little kids do with their parents. This is their young son. Just copycatting his dad. It's cute. He's got his hands in his face. He doesn't realize the struggle his dad's going through. Roy Scheider, he looks over at his little boy who sees that he's copycatting him. So now it's like to me, like he's looking in a mirror. He's looking at his son here. Makes a little face at him. And there's the toothless grin. I probably looked the same at the same time because I was missing my two front teeth. So he asks his little boy for a kiss, and he says because he needs it. He realizes what has happened to Alex Kintner and that he really is gone and that it really is. So this is what's happening inside Roy Scheider. So now Dreyfus's character comes over uninvited. He is wearing a jacket though. Got a bottle with him. A couple of bottles of wine. He brings peace offering. Looks like he's trying to sell something, which we're going to find out why. Scheider hasn't eaten his dinner. Scheider. Dreyfus tries to break the tension. They got a real task ahead of them. So Dreyfus is this is where he's got the plan. He's got the plot. So and it shows about characters. He asks if he can have Roy Scheider's uneaten dinner. And I say, yeah, no, go ahead. This is how you show things. I mean, yes, he asked for it, but this is how you show things about people. This is the kind of guy he is. He's assertive. Okay, he's confident. And he's hungry.
Excuse me. Well, yes, I put that way. Yes, I am.
He's brought 2 bottles of wine. He's brought a red and a white because he wasn't sure what they drink. Scheider reaches for the red.
I looked at what I have to put baby sweatshirts on and proceeded to keep my phone.
So here Dreyfus is explaining how he's been into sharks since he was a little kid. So he is a student of sharks. So Dreyfus has just told him he's got to go back to the Oceanographic Institute and let them know there is still a shark problem. He's telling Roy Scheider, I know you think you caught the shark. You didn't, and I'm not going to lie for you. As Scheider's opening the gift wine, which is probably why he brought it, because it's not easy to tell somebody something like that. Dreyfus knows it's not the shark. Dreyfus says he should let the wine breathe, and Scheider's pouring about a 16-ounce glass of it.
You know, you're going to be the only rational man left on this island. It's just loading the side on. Sure, Alex, pure research, 18 months and see.
So his wife tells Dreyfus that Martin, the chief, Roy Scheider, he hates boats. He hates the water. Now, why would he take a job on an island? I don't know. He sits in the car when he rides his ferry. This is how you build a character. So you got to wonder, why would somebody who doesn't like water move to an island? So then we find out something that maybe you didn't know about sharks, and I guess I didn't either, although I've heard it. Scheider wants to find out. All right, Scheider almost drowned when he was a kid. And he's asking him, is it true that most people who are attacked by sharks, it's in 3 feet of water, about 10 feet from the beach, is what he's asking Richard Dreyfuss, who says, yeah.
Now this shark there, that swims so long, they always fall.
They know it's a rogue shark, he's saying.
It's called territoriality.
So what they're talking about here is the fact that the shark is there and he's going to stay there as soon as there are people swimming, as long as there are people swimming in the water.
And why don't we have one more thing?
So he finally agrees to cut the shark open. So next scene, here they are. They're cutting open this tiger shark. They're back down. Scheider doesn't want to get within 10 feet of it. He's way back. We're at 45, 30. Now whatever's inside the shark starts coming out. He's throwing out like big fish heads. He's looking for the remains of Alex Kintner or Christy Watkins, I think. Who was the girl? The first kill. It's now 2 people dead. Throws out a tin can. Throws out a Louisiana license plate from inside the shark. So he's now dug around inside the shark's guts. That's not the shark who ate those people. So Scheider says now they do. I keep saying Scheider. Now Scheider knows he's got to close down the beach, he says, and call the mayor.
And there's any truth to territoriality at all, the chance of spying in between Cape Scott and South Beach. Where you going? We'll find him right now. It's a nice theater. Oh, what? If we're looking for a shark, we're not going to find him on the land. Yeah, but I'm not drunk enough to go out. Oh, yes, you are.
So there's a pivotal moment where they got to go after the bad guy, the criminal, the murderer. All right. Richard Dreyfuss is going to look for him now because he's a night feeder. He's also a man of action. There's no reason to wait. All right. So now Scheider's in a real spot because he don't like boats and he don't like water, which we just found out. That's what adds to the tension here. And it's just great. So out they go on the boat, looking for the shark. And Scheider's drunk as well. They were drinking the wine, and he had a big old glass.
you gotta walk, move on. But in there, one man can make a difference. In 25 years, there's never been a shooting or a murder in this town. Richard? Where are we? What is for his defeat? You're right, Charles. You know, it's a closed circuit TV system. I don't even know which channel it's born at. Well, thanks for all this stuff. Government, the institute, this stuff costs a lot of money. Well, I pay for this mostly myself, actually. You appreciate it. Oh, you're rich.
So we just learned that Dreyfus, although he works for the Oceanographic Institute, paid for this huge high-tech boat and all the equipment because he's a rich kid. So just another layer to what's going on here. He absolutely does not have to be here. Yet here he is trying to find the shark that is killing people.
What's that thing doing?
So in 1975, everything was low tech. So this stuff really was state of the art for the time. Scanners and cameras, and what, they got a hit on something. You can hear, the John Williams music with Steven Spielberg. You hear the E.T. in here. You can hear some Star Wars in here. You can hear some Indiana Jones. I know Spielberg didn't do Star Wars, but you know what I'm saying. Close Encounters, which Richard Dreyfuss was in. Oh, we got to do that one too. So the equipment spotted something. They find what's left of a boat that they see. We're right almost at 50 minutes.
Something else. The light.
So they see this boat. It's got nets all over it, broken glass. It's just floating. No sign of life, and what looks like a big, huge shark bite right in the side of it. Dreyfus comes out from below. Now he's dressed in in diving gear. And he's going to go down, have a look-see. Scheider just wants to tow it in, from what you know about Dreyfus already. He's going in hot here.
Nothing. Absolutely nothing. Don't touch any of the equipment.
All right, he's got his swim fins. He's got his flashlight. Looks like he's just taking a deep breath, plunking in there. When I did see this movie, second run, they used to put photographs of little scenes from the movie. And I remember a picture being hung up at there's the old Ramova down in Bridgeport in south side of Chicago here. And this scene here, there was a photo of it. It was pretty scary. He found something on the boat. He looks down at it. And he knows it's a tooth, and it's like the size of the palm of his hand. And now he, as an expert, he can scale that and have a pretty good idea. There's the scare. The face of one of the fisherman guys. Dreyfus freaks out. They had that picture hanging up of the body floating in there. And Dreyfus comes very hurriedly out of the water after seeing that chunk of a man there. So now they're explaining to the mayor. It's the first time I hear great white, which we all know that's the legendary shark. That's the one everybody knows, the great white shark. Now these two guys are breaking it down for the mayor the next day about what ought to be done.
And he's going to continue to feed here as long as they were spooling the water. And there's no limit to ways we do. I mean, already that 20 years, two people who felt it's like, oh, wait, let's try that. And if I could before, the Jersey big flags, and I say, sitting on 5 people tuned up at the sun, not only thrown by the swimmers. A shark is attracted to the exact kind of splashing and activity that occurs whenever human beings go and swim. You cannot avoid it.
So they're explaining to him they want the beaches closed, and the mayor, who's the final say, I guess, wants no part of it.
The boat out there, and it was the tooth of a great white. It's Ben Gardner.
Ben Gardner was the victim.
Do you say what? Oh, it's he dropped it. I have an exclamation. And what did you say the name of this spot? It's a carcharodon carcharis. It's a great white. You don't have to keep. Look, we depend on the soda here for our very life. You want to go your ass so we're not only going to have to close the beach, we're going to have to hire somebody to kill the shark. I mean, we're going to have to tell the coast.
So they're breaking the news to the mayor. They got to call the Coast Guard. They got to catch the shark, and they have to close the beaches. So even though the mayor may have a very small point, he's completely wrong here. He doesn't want to. He doesn't believe it. He's in complete denial. Even though 2 people and now 3 people have been killed. Is it because he's a politician? Yeah, he's also a realtor in the town. This could affect his whole life, and you know how people are sometimes. They're very flawed, let's just say.
That you're going to be noticed that you get found over. Someone screams up and bites you on the ass. Now, there are 2 ways to deal with this problem. And you either need to kill this animal, or you need to cut off this food's back.
So he breaks the news. So Dreyfus says there's only 2 ways to deal with this. He's saying you either have to kill the shark or cut off its food supply. That's the only way to get rid of it. Otherwise, it's there to stay through 4th of July and beyond.
Sick vandalism. That is a deliberate, public service. Now, I want those little pink happy bastards.
And don't forget, the 50th annual regatta is on the 4th of July. Huge, huge event.
What we are doing here is a constitution. Like eating sheep.
He's telling him all he does is swim and eat and make little sharks.
Close look at this sign. Those proportions are correct. Look, prove that, will you? Get you.
Now he accuses Dreyfus of being a glory hunter. Who knows if he is? I mean, it's obvious that he's not. But the mayor is trying to stay in denial.
For Christ's sake, tomorrow's the 4th of July, and we will become the best. It's going to be one of the best summers.
Now the mayor, completely deluded here, who says we're not closing anything down till August. This is occurring on July 3rd. Here we're at the 55-minute mark, and he's telling Chief Brody, Roy Scheider, he said, "Look, you do whatever you have to keep the beaches safe. Add whatever you have to, but it's staying open." So basically, the mayor is now saying, "Hey, I don't care." Okay, he's willing to take the risk of risking more blood. So next scene, here comes a big boat coming in from the mainland, full of all the revelers for the 4th of July, for the regatta. It's a very festive scene. Even the music is very light.
Tell you, we need mega patrols swimming in. We can't help anybody with a gun.
Okay, more scenes of people showing up, a whole cross section of the population, huge numbers of people coming into Amity. This is it. This is when everybody makes their season, makes their year. We haven't seen the crazy boat captain in a while. All right, we cut to somebody's playing a shark video game. I like what AMC's done here. They've cut the commercials out of this recording. So it looks like the runtime's about 2:04 for the whole movie. All right, now he's back on the job. The beach is jam-packed with people. Scheider's in uniform. He's on his radio. They've got people patrolling the water. So they're trying to keep an eye out for the shark. Now we got a reporter doing a live shot here talking about the shark attacks and a helicopter. Mayor's looking around, not happy about it.
I just put some suntan lotion on, and I'm trying to absorb some of that sun.
So now the mayor is upset because nobody's swimming. I mean, there's sharks everywhere. So he goads a couple to go ahead into the water and bring their kids. Monkey see, monkey do. So you know how it is. So the mayor wants people in the water having fun. So they will, get tired, spend money, everything else. Get hungry. The people go into the water. They're crapping their trunks, it looks like. And now the creepy mayor is smiling as all the treats go running into the water for the shark. Got all the youngsters bringing a little boat into the water.
The other guys take a boat, put in the pond instead.
So he's telling his own son to put the boat in the pond instead of the ocean. And even though the kid don't like it, he agrees. Sharks can't get into the pond. The wife's there too with their other son, Sean, the little guy. Got an underwater shot looking like the kill scenes from before. It's been a while since an attack. We're now 1 hour in. They're all out there, the patrols are out looking. So Spielberg's doing some camera work at the water level, going between above and below water, which I guess was a new thing at the time. And we cut to the mayor, who's now on TV, who who very much like a scumbag politician says, in political talk that the shark's been captured. He wants people to think the problem is solved. He's got a smile pasted on his face and, lying through his teeth. We now see some girls swimming and coming up on them. We see a fin, dorsal fin, come out of the water, edging toward the swimmers. Now everybody sees it. The patrols, the whistles are blowing. They're calling everybody out of the water because they've spotted a shark. Or have they? And everybody's panicking. Everybody's getting tossed over. We're about midpoint through the movie here. See people getting trampled and yeah, people are nuts, man. And the mayor looks worried. I don't know why he cares if they're swimming or not. They're in town. They're spending money. I don't know. Here comes the fin. And up come the two a-hole prankster kids. All right, now they got the whole Coast Guard mad at them. They're lucky they didn't get capped. Two little punks. All right, so no shark. Uh-oh, what's this? Now there's a girl off to the side here. Now she's saying the shark is going to the pond where Michael is. Maybe I don't know the definition of a pond. I always thought a pond is like a pond. I guess it's connected to the water somehow, or to the ocean rather. See this big long ass shark going in. We're at about about an hour and 4. There's Scheider's son and a couple of his friends are on the boat. Guy in a rowboat. No, this is the one. That's the guy who was on the thing at Universal Studios in California. Now they both get flipped over. The shark is there. We see him grab the guy who was in the rowboat. So now he's making mincemeat out of him. Oh, there goes the whole leg. Wow, leg and a thigh. All right, got the 2-piece floating at the bottom there. Oh, man. And in 1975, I'm not sure how much realistic blood there was with the water. I guess it does look real, you know. So the kids all get out of the water here. They all get out of the water alive. Ostensibly. But now his own son, Michael, he's not breathing. They got him laid out here on the beach. There's a little brother crying. Now, this is where it appears, the way the camera was and the way Scheider looked. This is where it is now personal. The shark has attacked his own son. Should he feel that way from the beginning about the first person? Yeah, of course. But that's the struggle he's going through. Just because the character's the hero doesn't mean he's perfect. He's going through, he's changing. We can see it happening in front of us as he gazes out at where the shark has given everybody the slip and attacked his own son. Now, Scheider's dealing with this conflict of, now I've got to do something. He attacked my own son. So he's all right. The kid's okay, but still, the point has been made with the chief. I got to do something, is what he's thinking. So we're in the scene inside the hospital here. Now the mayor is there in the hospital. Finally looks broken up. He finally realizes what's happening, or is no longer in denial. And this is where Scheider breaks it down for him.
Because you're going to do what you do best. For your son. What are you talking about? Like, his summer's over. You're the mayor of Shark City. These people think you want the beaches open.
So the mayor's losing it. He's half out of his gourd, out of guilt. He's gone from denial to guilt. And Scheider is convincing him now to cough up the 10 grand and have Quint kill the shark.
That's why you're going to sign this. I'm going to eat it that way once.
So now the mayor's on board. He's had his epiphany because his kids were on the beach too. He now signs off to hire the contractor.
You got it. Get the man out of my back. So don't have any more of this building crap. You got that. One case, I forgot you have people. You buy the lunch. Joe case. You get this, you get back. You got paid. Find a bar. You bring in caviar, don't forget the color TV.
So now the chief and Hooper are meeting Quint on his boat. He's giving him some moonshine he's made. This is what men do. You have a drink together to make a deal, to settle things, all kinds of reasons. The two are just walking around Quint's, well, it's not it's boathouse looking thing, trying to get to know the man who they're hiring. But the thing to note here, I think, which carries out through the whole rest of the movie, you now have three experts with a common goal. You've got Roy Scheider, the chief of police from New York City, who has to protect the town. You have Richard Dreyfuss, the young, rich shark expert, who's got the equipment and tons of knowledge, on the biology of the shark. And now you've got Quint, the grizzled, old time New England boat captain, okay, and who's an expert in the waters he's in, and in the boat that he commands. So that this is where they're all assembling to do the job, to get it done.
You're gonna need an extra hand. This is not. I put France back. Thanks. No. It's real. This cup trial.
So what's happening here in this scene? We're at about an hour and 10 minutes, a little before that. Quint, part of his terms were to be alone on the boat, or take care of this by himself. He didn't want any crew. Now, what you're never going to, pardon me, not that you'll never figure this out, but you got to be paying attention to it because I didn't notice it till probably the 10th time I saw the movie. They've alluded to it, but just alluded to it. Quint doesn't want anybody with him because of his methods that he uses. He doesn't want any record of it. He doesn't want people to know his trade secrets, if you will, although that's not really what it is. But now the Dreyfuss character is explaining to him, listen, I know how to sail. I know this animal. So now he's got to try to convince the grizzled old boat captain to bring him along. So he doesn't think much of the Dreyfuss character because he looks like a bookworm. First time he calls him Mr. Hooper, I think. So now he's gonna, if you've seen My Cousin Vinny, he's gonna voir dire the Richard Dreyfuss character by tossing him a piece of rope and saying, "Here, tie me this knot," to prove that he knows what he's talking about. Sheepshank knot. It's okay. You could tie a knot, so what? You got city hands, Mr. Hooper. So this is where they're laying the ground rules. Quint says he wants to go alone. Roy Scheider says, hey, the town's paying the bill. It's my party. And Quint, the captain, Robert Shaw, is saying, yeah, maybe, but it's my vessel. So they got to work together here to reach the goal. And then he says, take him for ballast. He's talking about Dreyfuss. I don't know much about sailing. I believe ballast is some kind of balance. Really, it's an insult, just like he's a sack of potatoes. So, all right. So now the captain's muttering. We're at about an hour and 11. They're gearing up, going through all the stuff they're going to need. Dreyfuss is showcasing all of his high-tech equipment. Quint insults him again, but not for the last time. So Robert Shaw starts singing Farewell and Adieu after he sees Richard Dreyfuss has a shark cage, which he thinks is cute and charming. But they're bonding here. And maybe deep down he thinks that's pretty cool. To have a shark cage, I mean. So now the wife's asking Roy Scheider if he took his Dramamine because he can't hack it. And he's got extra glasses, talking to him like he's a little kid, just to show what a kind of neophyte he is and how vulnerable he is here because of his fears. So they're saying their goodbye. The chief and his wife. Captain's razzing. So off they go. They're now casting off. Shaw is rattling off a bunch of one-liners, which I can relate to. This is talking trash. But they're playing the music. I mean, the music is almost happy, like they're on they're on a little adventure, which I guess they are. This is an adventure for Roy Scheider's character. He's never been in this kind of situation. He's on the water, which he hates, but he's on a mission. Name of the boat is the Orca. A few years later, they actually made a movie titled Orca, which had to do with a killer shark. I mean, killer whale. So the captain is explaining, he's telegraphing a little bit of what's going to happen. The idea is that you take a barrel that's tied off to a harpoon or an arrow or whatever it is, you shoot the shark with it, and the barrels, which has air in it, won't submerge, and it'll prevent the shark from diving. It'll make him come out of the water, I guess. But when a shark's really big, you have to use multiple barrels. All this is happening while Scheider is throwing the disgusting smelling fish parts or chum and stuff into the water. We're at an hour 15. The captain's chugging a can of Narragansett, which I believe is still in business. And I think it might even be on sale right now. Captain and Hooper have a little moment, still bonding. So now another critical piece of information where Hooper says we got the CO2 tanks, and if anything goes wrong, the tank could blow up. Interesting information that may be valuable later. So the three men are out. They're on the tides, kind of seeding the water, chumming the water, as they say, to draw the shark.
Little Brandy comes out of the cave, steps it along, down the hole, gets back to the cave again. It's not so good as it to be.
We're getting a couple little cranks on the one line. We'll hear a couple of clicks. Captain's watching close here. Quint is his name, played by Robert Shaw. So Quint's now strapping himself in. You want to stay on the boat. So you got to strap it in if you're going to go at it with a big fish or big shark. It's got the big, massive reel. He sets it in, cradles it into a little. How does he expect to pull in a shark of any size? I don't know. I don't know the business, but it sure makes for good movie watching. He's got his game face on, ready to do battle with whatever's on the other end of that line. Roy Scheider finally ties a knot. And now he's got a snag on his line, and something's really running his reel out. Tell Scheider to wet the reel. That's how fast it's moving, so it doesn't burn up.
Get behind you there.
So we're almost at an hour and 20. Captain Quint's trying to reel in whatever's got his line.
He's got onto the boat. I think he's got onto the boat.
So now Shaw can see that whatever's on the other end of that line is not just some dumb fish. Something with a plan.
Put your gloves on, motherfucker. Get Brody out of here.
Hey, boy, let it go.
Hey, Lupa. Maybe big yeah, wouldn't allow that out here in this supercar. If you don't want to bounce goes home, you get down here.
All right, you don't want to listen to me. Listen. Not shark. Are you sure?
So Richard Dreyfuss is now saying it's not a shark. Quint's not so sure. Something has swum under the boat, and the captain has told them both to put on their gloves, to work the ropes or work the lines or whatever. Now the captain foresees something happening to the boat, which is why he needs his hands there. He's trying to figure out what's going on.
You're a stingray. Just a great thing. Don't you look.
Don't you take in that business again. You get back on the road.
That doesn't prove a damn thing.
Well, it proved one thing, Mr. Luther. Proves that you wealthy college players.
All right, so the line snaps. Quint comes down to see what happened. So whatever they had is now gone.
Stingray, this one is Carolina. Don't you take in that business again. You get back on the road.
Quint knows it's a shark. And then he kind of puts down Richard Dreyfuss's theory about it being a marlin. And a marlin can't bite through that kind of line.
No, you lose one. Is it more?
So now they're tracking him.
Hey, it's lady. First day of that.
So that is something I missed the last time I've seen this. Through what happened with that line that snapped, he's now able to track him based on his experience, which is why they've gone the direction they've gone in. So he's up in the crow's nest. Captain's up in the crow's nest, and he shouts down for Chief Brody, Roy Scheider, to chum again. He's got a smoke burning. He's got his chum bucket here. Hooper's playing some solitaire. All right, so Scheider's in this, what is now an iconic scene. Just Roy Scheider's so good in it, his reaction to what's about to happen. You've seen the meme. So he's flinging the chum. So up from the water comes the giant fish at 123 and change. Scheider comes up shocked with that look on his face. This is the first time anybody has seen Jaws. And he drops the line. You're going to need a bigger boat. Because no matter how many barrels, no matter how much what, Roy Scheider now sees you ain't pulling this guy in with what we got. Now they're looking right at him. They're all looking right at Jaws, who's coming right at him. This is, an intimidation factor. He's sizing him. He's sizing up the boat. Quint is sizing up the shark. A little bit of the Jaws music. All right, kind of swims right past to say, "Look, here I am. All right, here's what you're dealing with. Can you?" So now he's got him pegged. Dreyfus says 20-footer. Captain says, "Nope, 25. 3 tons of them." So now they're trying to figure out what to do. Jaws is now circling the boat. So I guess the question posed here as I watched this, and this is why I wanted to do it this way. So it seemed before that the captain was tracking the shark, but now it looks a lot like more the shack. I'm starting to talk like him. There's a shack in the water. It's looking a lot more like the shark has baited Quint, the captain, with the playfully tugging at the line. Okay, it's a beautiful thing if that's what's happening. Very cool. So Shaw is bringing up. He's getting his harpoon thing together when a radio message comes in. Now they're right in the heat of it here. They're trying to, get it going with the shark here when this radio call comes in from the chief's, Roy Scheider's wife.
Brody is fishing it. Just gotta come with strikers. We'll be on for dinner. We won't be long in stands and then hook around.
All right, so captain ends the call because they got work to do here. Little Indiana Jones music.
Oh, steady. I'm gonna steer above my eyes. Just put my hand and check the steadiness to us, Jack's the end on this line to the first kick.
So now they're going to see what Quint does, how he catches the sharks. He's got the harpoon. He's tying it to a barrel to try to get him, keep him at the surface. Hooper grabs a high-tech tracker thing. So now we see this comparison here where you see the experience of the shark hunter using his methods, kind of analog methods, if you will, versus the new wave, the technological wave, which, in 1975, I mean, could you imagine? I don't have to imagine it. I was there, tiny as I was. It's worlds apart. But so Dreyfus wants to use an electronic tracker here. We're right at an hour 27 and a half-ish. He's going to take his first shot at Jaws. Barrel's tied on. Barrel's off. So you see the idea that the shark cannot dive below where the barrel will let it go because the air will not go under the water. It's just physics. So now we see the barrel disappear quite easily, meaning Jaws is so strong, so big and so strong, it pulls the barrel down really without even trying. Now, this tells Quint a lot about the kind of shark he's dealing with. But as he said in his previous anecdote, he pulled up, I don't know what kind of shark he said. It took 2 barrels to get him. So now you see the comparison. Now Quint knows this guy's going to be at least as tough as his previous one.
Out here till we find him again.
Yeah, but we can video in and get a bigger book on.
So the chief wants to radio in to get a bigger boat. Quint obviously disagrees. So now they're just kind of camped out in the water waiting for Jaws to resurface. So the next scene here, this is a classic scene. Chief's concerned about the little nick on his head. The captain says, "Hey, that's nothing. Check this out." And he pulls out his false tooth. This is the scene where they start looking at each other's scars. You know, comparing scars. That's a thing with guys where they talk about what's happening. You know, what's happened to them, how tough they are, where they've been, what they've done. Dreyfus says, "I got that beat. Check this out." He's got a moray eel sting. You know, they end up doing this. They copycat this in a couple of movies. I can't remember which one, but you know. So the captain says he's got his arm busted up in in an arm wrestling tournament, and they're drunk. They've been drinking something, probably that hooch or the apricot brandy that Quint demanded. Dreyfus now pulls up his pant leg to expose a shark bite from a bull shark. Quint continues the comparisons. He's got a thresher wound on his calf. So the thing that's happening here, and you could tell I'm at right at 30, an hour 30 and 56 seconds. The way Quint, the captain, Robert Shaw, is looking at Hooper, played by Richard Dreyfuss, the rich kid scientist. This is where they truly bond, where they see they are birds of a feather. They do have a lot in common. Okay, they've been through it in different ways, but now this is where the friendship starts, if you will. And Scheider's watching this happen. He's still an outsider in this. But it was just a nice element of the Jaws movie, seeing these two guys, you know, finally understand each other. So now they're gonna have a drink. They're just yucking it up. Roy Scheider looks, I think, at his appendix scar and decides better of it. Maybe not to say anything, because that'll seem, you know, wimpy compared to shark bites. So Dreyfus says, "Oh, I got the creme de la creme." He pulls open his shirt. He points to his chest. Where he says his greatest wound is where Mary Ellen Moffat broke his heart, the greatest injury of all. Now they all enjoy it. They're all enjoying a good laugh in this time. That's another thing about movies and about life. They're not making light of the situation. They've been hard at it for days now, and they're having this moment of peace while they wait for the shark to resurface. And they're just having this moment here. They know everything's gone to hell and people are going to die if they cannot get the job done. So Roy Scheider then asks, you know, I'm going to stop here for a second. Roy Scheider then asks, "What about that one on your arm?" This is at 1:30, an hour 31:39. This is where you just have to either stop now, or if you had, and go and see, search for the just search YouTube for Jaws USS Indianapolis. It is one of my favorite scenes in all of movie history. I mean, it is right up there. It's so good. And Robert Shaw, I really don't remember if he was nominated for anything. I don't think so. Horror movies usually aren't, but maybe for sound or something. But anyway, it's just awesome. I'm watching it here, so I'm getting the impact, and I've seen it 100 times because it is so good. So go watch. Just search Jaws and USS Indianapolis speech and pay attention. It's just awesome acting. He's now beginning the USS Indianapolis speech. Awesome speech. You got to watch that. So now they hear a call, sound out in the ocean, whale calling. Now the captain begins singing farewell and adieu. Singing with the whales. And Richard Dreyfuss starts a new song. I had a little drink about an hour ago. It's gone right to my head. So this must have been a song from back in the old days. Not one I'm familiar with. But this is the bonding of men, men on a mission, and now they've really developed this friendship. And right in the middle of this kind of fun moment, here comes the barrel with the track around it. While they foolishly sing their song after having a couple of drinks. Boom, boom. Jaws attacks the boat. He's got them right where he wants them. The shark is the one hunting. He's attacking different sides of the boat, just ramming it with his head. So the chief is about to make a call when a little fire starts. Shaw says, "Hey, go put out the fire, chief." Now go to lights. So he's pounding the sides of the boat, making holes. He kills the power in the ship. Now he's shooting some tiny bullets at the gigantic killer shark, obviously to no avail. Right? Roy Scheider pulls out he's got a flare gun. Shining star goes by. I don't know if you've noticed that. Right at an hour and 39 minutes. Looked like an animated shooting star. There's another one. Okay. Not sure the significance of that. I guess I'll have to look into it. So now the sun's coming up. It's now the next morning. Smoke's coming from the engine room. They've got all the floorboards out. Can't move the wheel. They're trying to get the boat fired up. And now here come the barrel surfaces again.
Think he's right out of the gang. Grab the boat.
So I Googled it real quick. Apparently, the shooting stars were a nod to Spielberg's upcoming movie at the time, Close Encounters of the Third Kind, which is also a must-watch. We'll watch that one together, too. And I guess timeline-wise, I guess I forgot Jaws preceded that. So the barrel's just floating. Here comes the shark. Right at 1:40, an hour 41. So he sets another trap with the barrel, so now we can see this shark is he shows again, this is not some everyday shark. Scheider says, hey, look, I'm going to call her in. All right, we need help out here. The boat is disabled already. So he's getting ready to make the call. Calling in the Coast Guard's calling in a mayday. And the captain comes in with a bat, smashes the radio. Roy Scheider's freaking out. And it looks like pure pride. He wants the $10,000. And if somebody comes and helps, he won't get it. So once again, humanity rears its head, whether it's greed or whatever it is, the different emotions that people have, or different sins, if you will, that drive Robert Shaw's character, the captain, Quint, instead of doing the sensible thing and the smart thing by calling for help, he wants to bag him himself, sends another barrel into him. So he wants to chase. So the captain wants to chase the shark, and he's got Richard Dreyfuss's character, Hooper, driving it. So he's got this thing full throttle. And unless I'm wrong, he's pulling him out to sea. So he's trapping them even more. The smoke is coming out. They've had problems with the boat already. And it's funny because none of these three experts realize this. But that's the other reason I wanted to do this in this style. Look, I would have done this as a live stream, but I don't know how to live stream yet. So hopefully we're on the precipice of that. But old Muy Macho is not quite there. But pretty soon, very soon. So he puts another barrel in him. Quint says hard to port. Port means left. And if you saw the same episode of The Simpsons I did, you would have learned that too. Scheider pulls out his service revolver there. Puts a few slugs in him with the old Roscoe. So now this great white has pulled 2 barrels down, which has got to make, and he actually just says it, which he says it's incredible that he's able to do that. It should be physically impossible. But now the 2 barrels pop up, and the way they're bobbing, they're not being dragged. Like he's taunting them. I'm like, I'm right here. Come and get me. So Scheider, realizing this, asks the question to Richard Dreyfuss, why don't we bring him to shore instead of him bringing us out to sea? So the barrels are just bobbing. He's telling the guys grab the poles and snag them, bring them in. He wants to tie them off to the boat. Because if they're tied to the shark, you tie the barrels to the boat. Now your boat is tied directly to the shark. So maybe earlier, not maybe, but early in the movie, we see him tear the dock right off the shore, showing how strong it was, but nobody saw that. We saw it as the viewer, but these guys did not see that power. And now he's pulling. He's got the guys. All right, so now the tug of war begins. The boat is pulling the shark is pulling the boat. We're at an hour 46 and a half. Shaw's feeling pretty good because I think he's got him.
What up there? You was the police. Oh, God, this one's still the boat going. You see, he's right at me. That one. Yeah. We're going to clear out your boss. We're going to clear out. Hurry.
All right, he pops him with another harpoon. Shark's coming out of the water.
I'm tired. You put out the transfer. Make it faster.
So I put a third barrel on him. The seawater goes spilling into the engine room. Dreyfuss wants to cut the ropes. He's towing the boat backward. Motor's gonna blow. So then Jaws rips the cleats off the boat. He's got all three barrels, but he breaks away. And now, they're just floating in the water again. At 148.29. So now Jaws has the three barrels on him. He's still circling the boat, still taunting the captain. Got the Jaws classic music. The barrels disappear under the ocean again, under the boat.
You ever have one just before?
So Dreyfuss asks the captain, Quint, if he's ever had a shark do this before. And Quint finally admits, well, not finally, it wasn't, nobody asked him. He said, no. So what he's saying is this shark is the biggest, baddest after all this time. So he's not so snarky about it. He's not so, flippant about this shark. He's earned some respect for the animal because of they're all going through, and they still don't have him. Okay, so big turning point for Robert Shaw's character, seeing, man, this shark is really getting the best of me. And that's not a good feeling for any hunter, for any man, for any person, really. Nobody likes the feeling of getting got, all right? Boom, big crash. Jaws just to T-bones the orca boat. So now they're headed in, and Jaws is physically chasing them. So Shaw finally figures, hey, maybe not let's call it a day, but let's get a little bit closer to where it's safer. So now Scheider asks Dreyfuss if he's ever seen anything like this, to which he says no. So maybe at this point, we're at an hour 51. Quint is pushing the boat full throttle. Richard Dreyfuss knows it's not the right thing to do. He can't outrun the shark. And maybe he's just losing it, you know. Hubris, I think it's called. Now he breaks into farewell and adieu again. But the other thing is, a couple things about this particular shot. His fake tooth is out. His hat is gone. He's singing this song angrily, like he's lost his mind, and maybe he has. Richard Dreyfuss and Roy Scheider are definitely not chuckling and singing along this time. They're imploring him to stop the boat. He won't. Engine's smoking. Water coming in all over the place. And now the barrels swim away again. Jaws easily goes, submerges, and brings the barrels with him. Robert Shaw takes a long look at the life jackets, recalling his memory of the USS Indianapolis, which hopefully you saw that clip. So he gives the life jackets to the two other guys, very obviously saying, I'm not putting one on. But the other thing it says, because the boat is sinking, and that's the thing about the captain. He gives the life vests to the crew, and he's going to go down with the ship. I'm not sure how far offshore they are in this scene. There's obviously a gigantic shark pursuing them. So at this point, finally, Quint, although he maybe hasn't completely given up, he says to the young punk, essentially here, Dreyfuss, the rich kid, the scientist, he finally asks him for help in his way. And he says, hey, what can you do with these toys of yours, these fancy doodads you brought? Which is a big turning point for this character, for somebody of ultimate machismo, muy macho personified, okay, is finally saying, hey, look, all right, we got to beat this shark, and I'm going to swallow my pride and ask for help. Because in the words of Clint Eastwood, a man's got to know his limitations. So Dreyfuss's plan is to kill him with a chemical, but he's got to get close enough. So the plan is to go down in the shark cage and try to hit the shark's soft spot inside of his mouth or his eye with the poison. So now it's Dreyfuss's turn to use his skills and his know-how and experience to take a shot because Quint's methods have not worked. So now Dreyfuss is gearing up with his, and they're getting ready to throw the cage into the water here. It's got his scuba tanks, his seal. You remember the ones that could blow up. Wink, wink. I was climbing in the cage there, about an hour 55. I suppose I'd go in the ocean if I was inside of a cage. But that might be about the only way. So now we've got an underwater shot, which was mostly, it was a Jacques Cousteau or Sea Hunt at this point in the mid-70s. So you have the silence of the underwater. You've got Dreyfuss down there in his scuba gear and wasting no time. Here comes Jaws out of the murky depths of the Atlantic. 3 barrels in tow. Doing the same thing, kind of just cruising past him, saying, hey, all right, check this out. And Dreyfuss is just looking for the soft spot. So bang, from behind, Jaws comes up, pops the cage, makes Dreyfuss drop his poison dart or stick gun. So there's a big dent in the cage. So now Dreyfuss has a choice to make. Because he's got no weapons now. He's dropped the thing which he absolutely needs to do what he is down there to do. It's just enormous. It's cool. I mean, they're using some stock footage of some sharks, which are creepy enough. And even though this thing is a big dummy, big model, it would probably still be very strange and scary working with this big thing underwater, just because of the perception, and just looking at the teeth and the size of it, So he's doing exactly what he knew would, which is tear the cage apart with no problem. And now Dreyfuss is diving to go and get his dart thing. Yeah, I mean that's real footage. I don't know if they got this, just stock footage, or I can't imagine they shot this for the movie. So bam, the whole thing gives away. The shark cage is gone, and now the Dreyfuss character Hooper is down there at the bottom. And up out of the water comes the big shark. And even though it's obviously fake, no less scary. I mean, you can kind of see the rubber. But, it smashes the boat. The 2 guys go running. Now the boat is coming apart. Dreyfus is still gone. And now here we see the worst nightmare after all these years, Captain Quint. He's kicking. And in goes the bite. Jaws has the captain. And he's just chewing him to bits. And that's it. Pulls him like a rag doll down into the ocean. So now we see Roy Scheider, who's left on the boat by himself. The boat is sinking. All right. Hooper is gone, and, he was left down at the bottom there. And here comes Jaws again, comes smashing into what's left of the boat, and there ain't much. You can see his blood-stained teeth. So Scheider tried to bash him with the CO2 tank, which didn't work. He ends up just tossing it into his mouth. And then the shark goes back down under the water. Here comes the Jaws music. We're at 2 minutes, or 2 hours, 2 minutes. It's just Roy Scheider. He's on the boat. He's got his rifle. Well, he's got Quint's rifle and a harpoon with him. Don't know what he's going to do with a harpoon, but that's what he's got. So now Scheider's in the crow's nest. Jaws comes back up out of the water. Yeah, give him a couple stabs there. Okay. Good luck with that. Stabbing a great white shark, but okay. So the boat is down. It's under the water. Barely, the crow's nest is the only thing barely sticking out of the water. And now we see the CO2 tank in the shark's mouth. Who knows how many sharks or how many shots Roy Scheider has. He's missed twice. At the music building. We got him. So Scheider, crack shot with the rifle, shoots the CO2 tank, blows Jaws to bits. And now he's ecstatic. We got shark meat flopping all over the ocean. Down goes the shark, sinking like the ship. Okay, now Roy Scheider got his man or fish, if you will. Happy, happy, joy, joy now. Okay, so he knows he's killed him. The blood fills the water. And here's Scheider floating here. And now Hooper pops up with his scuba gear. He's looking around with what's going on, what happened. So Dreyfus swims up. He and Scheider are chuckling, still in shock from all this, I guess. And he's got to give him the news. Quint didn't make it. Quint didn't make it. So as the seagulls feast on the remains of the giant shark, Chief Brody and Mr. Hooper go paddling in on the barrels they had used. And they're paddling back toward the land. And that's Steven Spielberg's Jaws, 1975. It's opening. It's Labor Day weekend, 2025, 50th anniversary, and it's out in IMAX this weekend. Maybe I might be able to find some time to catch it. But I like watching it right here on TV where I can have the closed captioning. It's just a great movie. I highly recommend you watching it. And the reason I did it this way is so you can watch it with me. So go ahead, if you're going to get it on DVD, or if you're gonna buy it or rent it, or you're gonna save it on your DVR, or if you have it on YouTube TV like I do, or whatever you're gonna do, let's watch it together. Watch it with me, okay? And I highly recommend closed captioning. So that's that. So that's Jaws, and that's gonna be it for Muy Macho today. Adios. Later. Bye.